Welcome back to the Songs My Father Wrote. My name is Alicia Nardo, and I am here with my father, Bob Bagden. How are you, Dad?
I'm a lot better now that we're at least communicating. We've had a lot of technical difficulties, but we're lucky that these computers aren't through the windows right now.
I commend you, Papa. Earlier this week, I had posted a song, When the White Man Comes. That's going to be the feature of our podcast today. And then we're also going to talk about another song, Vision, that's part of this story as well. But I'd like to start with When the White Man Comes. Can you share the moment that brought this song to life?
Well, again, it's like everything else, especially with the Native American theme.
Hmm.
All of those came to me in very vivid dreams, no exaggeration, sometimes almost in technicolor. As I've said before, it was very easy to write because they were so vivid. I'd get up in the morning almost compelled with the details in mind. This one happened back in the late 80s, early 90s when you call them visions. I still call them dreams, but even the natives that I've talked to over the years say, Bob, you had visions. This isn't even your work. People were channeling them through you. And I've become accustomed to hearing that and a believer in that.
Hmm.
Initially, I was just saying, nah, it can't be. But after three or four songs came so detailed and affected me so much inside and emotionally that I started to say, there's more to this than a dream.
Before you had these dreams, did you have any relationship with the Native American culture?
No, other than just what the normal person of my age would have had growing up with Native Americans and the stories and the cowboys and Indians that you'd see on TV, literally. And of course, in those cases, the cowboys always won and the Indians were the bad people, except for the Lone Ranger and Tonto. I mean, Tonto was a good guy. My generation, especially, and probably the two or three before me, and then before that, they were involved in it, but they believed what they had been told and were taught. And that's what I did. And when my schooling and everything else, you didn't learn a lot about the natives in battles and the eminent domain and the actions of our government in the 1800s and moving a lot of the natives off of their land.
So this brings up a very interesting point because I think what I'm hearing you say is the dreams or visions that you were having actually weren't what you had been taught in the history books. So this is something very different for you.
This is what really piqued my interest at the time and always has, and piqued my commitment in time to the Native American cause and people because my dreams were 180 degrees from what I understood. At first, with some of the songs, I put them away because they were so different than what I had been taught. I'm saying, this can't be right. I can't put this out. This isn't music I want to play, or because it just doesn't appear to be in the right frame of mind, and I'll be upsetting somebody the wrong way. Um, you don't mind upsetting people if you believe you're speaking the truth, but if
Hmm.
you don't know what you're talking about, you're in a bad position. But it piqued me enough where I started studying things that I had been dreaming, and even going into Washington, D.C., and the National Archives and looking at actual accounts of happenings, battles, treaties. And I'm finding out, wow, what I'm hearing in my dreams, what I'm seeing in my dreams is the reality, not what we've been taught. So when the white man comes, that song was a very vivid dream that I saw a brave young warrior standing on the side of a mountain, understanding that literally that he had the strength to live and he had the strength to fight. And he was asking grandfather's son, who was about to come up, this was at dawn, for the strength to die, because he knew that the numbers and the technology at the time, guns and steel and swords that were coming at him, were probably something he couldn't defend, but he wasn't going to let them in his heart and mind move any closer to his family without him giving his life for it.
Hmm.
Uh, and I believe that back in the 1800s, that happened thousands of times.
Hmm.
Uh,
So this opens up a lot of questions for me. The first one that comes to mind is we've all heard the song. Anybody who's following the podcast has listened to the song. One of the things that you say, the white man comes from the eastern sky. Now we know that the British came, and the British were the first settlers. And what people don't know is we are a family that's 14th generation from the pilgrims that came over on the Mayflower. Do you think that there's any correlation with the fact that our ancestral history were those people that destroyed the red man? I mean,
You
I could
know,
go into so many things right now, but I'm not. But that's my first question for you. Have you thought about that?
well, you're 14th generation, I'm 13th generation from Richard Warren. I mean, literally, if you look at it on paper, we're European, white, and we're fighting for our problems over there. And we come up, we get out of there because we're not happy as a pilgrim, and we come over here. And initially, we start to do okay with Samoset and the Indians in New England, but soon it starts to get out of control. And I
Yeah.
mean, that's when the history starts. It started way back in the 16 and 1700s,
Mhm.
especially in the Northeast. Um, but the big issues were the expansion west. And that's why I said the white man comes from the eastern sky,
Mhm.
because his migration was from the east, west, and kept pushing all of the tribes. And there were hundreds of tribes further and further west, and then eventually north into Canada. Whether or not that personal, individual, genealogical conflict is in
Mhm.
play, probably is. We don't
Well,
know that.
and I'm not even talking genealogical. I'm actually talking spiritual. I mean, do you believe in past lives or that this is somewhat karmic or ancestral?
Oh, you're getting into deep water now. I can't look you in the eye and say, as much as I love you, that I agree 100% in all of
Mhm.
that stuff. Although I can say in my life, from all of my heart, uh, I've had experiences that are unexplainable.
Mhm.
Um, and and a lot of the songs reflect some of those experiences. So I don't know. My honest answer is I don't know.
And I will say I'm only asking just out of curiosity. My spiritual journey in life has been pretty broad and very wide. However, my faith lies in God, and so as far as past lives are concerned, I don't know for sure. But I was just curious to see if you had a thought about that.
Uh, I'll give you one quick example if you talk about that.
Sure.
I was in a session with my good friend Frank DeConte. We talked about him in the last session, and it was a healing session.
Mhm.
And Frank looked at me and he said, "You know, your words aren't coming from you. They're coming from somebody beyond you. That's from my people." And I said, "I believe that now, Frank. I honestly do believe that now." And he said, "I see him over your shoulder." And he said, "I see him with one half face black and one half face white." And he said, "I believe that it is Tecumseh or Tecumseh, however you want to pronounce it." The very next morning, in the weekly television paper, the front page of that was a Native American with half black face and
Mhm.
half white face. And it was a story about Tecumseh that they were going to have on TV.
Mhm.
Now, he didn't know that when we had the conversation. I didn't know that when we had the conversation. And I got goosebumps like you couldn't believe when I looked at that picture. So anyway, that's the kind of stuff that can happen, and coincidental or not, sometimes things are too coincidental. So
Yeah. But well, welcome to my life. That stuff happens all of the time, and I'm grateful for it because it's very fascinating to say the least. So you've had these visions, and I don't know if I touched on this in the last podcast or not, but Did the natives find you or did you find the natives? So you started to have these visions, you were writing these songs, you were kind of doing all of this research trying to understand the things that you were seeing in your dreams versus what you were taught, what we were all taught in the history books. How did you connect with the first Native American that you met? Because we know Frank came after.
Frank was well along the path.
Mhm.
Early in the podcast, I related to a story, and I won't expound on it because we did talk about it earlier. But again, one of those things that's unexplainable. I was in my own career and in a convention in San Diego, California.
Bud Tackett.
Bud Tackett.
So he found you. The natives
Well,
found
we found
you.
each other. We ended up sitting at a bar having a drink side by side. He didn't know me. I didn't know him. I'm from Massachusetts. He's from Massachusetts, abutting towns. And he is full blooded Cherokee and committed to the Native American effort and issues in New England. And so we had a couple drinks, and I had no reason to be concerned about what I said and how I said it. So I just said, Bud, can I share something with you? And he said, sure. And so I said, I've been having these dreams and writing these songs about Native Americans, and I don't know why, because I'm not a Native American. And he looked at me and he said, well, we're neighbors. When we get back, you get those to me. So I did, and the
Mhm.
story starts there and ends there, basically, your question. He brought them to Johnny Leverett in Fitchburg, who was a very influential Native American lady. And Johnny looked at them, shared them with Grandfather Commander and some very influential natives in the Northeast. They all said, this man has got to continue writing because these songs are right on the money. And when I got that message, I was brought into that group very quickly. And that even just reinforced me. I've got to learn so much about their heritage and these people. That's it was Bud Tackett and I in a bar. I mean,
Mhm.
in San Diego, California, and that
That's
started
how
this
you
whole thing.
Yeah, and that's how you got started. When you were receiving that information, I know it must have been very confusing, but was there any sorrow or resistance in receiving that or trying to transfer that into writing?
No,
None?
absolutely never. It was so powerful. There was never a doubt that
Mhm.
that's what it was meant to be. And we go back. This all ties into my life. I think I've always been writing. I've always written especially when I was unsure of things, I wrote it down. This just to me was, hey, I was traveling a lot when this started.
Mhm.
I was not home. I was away from you, your mother, the whole family, kind of depressed, probably having one or two too many drinks a night at the bar because there was nothing else to do. And then I would have these dreams, and I welcome the ability to get up and write in the morning and write these stories. And I would read these stories. I'd be so proud of myself. And then the next day I'd read them and say, what are you going to do with them?
Mhm.
I mean, this is something you can't share, and this
Mhm.
is about a totally different culture you don't even know anything about. So this is why this is such a bizarre occurrence and happening. As we move forward with this series on Native Americans, it's just unbelievable to me.
Mhm. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the song Vision, and the song will be attached in full to the end of this episode. And did it come as a continuation of the same theme, or was it a different vision, no pun intended, entirely?
Well, there's going to be a number of songs in the series that cover what we're talking about right now. And that is what happened throughout the 1800s. And there are occurrences daily and battles daily and individual issues daily. Vision is a compilation of a young man going for his vision quest, where he goes up on a mountainside for his time, whether it be 2, 3 days, whatever, by himself. And when he's up there, he has this vision of what's going to happen in this life. The song to me is one of the strongest songs that I've ever written, if you listen to the words carefully. And that's why, again, I'm about the message, not the music as much. You know, when he goes to sleep one night, he's thinking of his people. When he wakes up in the morning, his people are gone.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing he sees is a white man. So that song basically takes us through the trajectory of red man having everything that they wanted in the way that they lived to being disrupted, interrupted, moved, terminated. That's the right word. And with a white man coming taking everything away. And this old man lives close to 100 years when he dies. And this boy lives close to 100 years. And when he dies, he's seen all of this happen. And this song relates to that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the song Vision. And I felt that talking with you, I felt that this was a great song to have in this episode of our talks with Native Americans. We'll get into, because some of the songs get into very specific events and have quite strong stories on their own as we move forward. But this song to me encapsulates and sets the stage. It says where we've been, where we are, where we're going. And for the Native American series that we're trying to do right now, it sets the stage for the next one.
Yep. So you keep saying that you're about the message. What do you think the message is? And the reason I ask is because as I've been working through the native songs and putting this material together, I know it has opened up a deep sorrow within myself. I hear the words, I read the words to the songs, and I actually put myself in their position, and it just is so painful to me. I don't really know a lot. I didn't pay attention in school, you know that, and I feel bad for even saying that, but I don't know much about the history other than what I've learned since then and working in this. But there's a lot of pain there, and I often wonder, what is the message that we're trying to put out there by sharing these words?
Well, one thing that I want to do by sharing these words is, we're not alone.
Mhm.
I mean, you look at today, Kevin Costner, you look at a lot of the top actors, going back to Marlon Brando and every one of them is connected in some way. Artistic people have connected in some way with Native Americans, and they've been brought to them in some way. In our early life, we watched cowboys and Indians with the cowboys with guns and rifles and the Indians chasing them with bows and arrows. And then we come along with Kevin Costner and Dances with Wolves. And basically, his message, I'm just reiterating what Kevin's trying to say.
Mhm.
You know, he's the white man, a soldier. He goes and he gets into an area where the soldiers that he was supposed to be with are gone. He meets a tribe of people, and he learns that these people aren't anything that he's been told they are. In fact, he relates to them and believes in them and ends up hunting with them, fighting with them, and disappearing into the world with them at the end of the movie. I think my message, I don't think my message, I know what my message is. There is a prophecy among numerous native tribes. In one tribe, I think it's the Sioux, that it's a 7-generation prophecy. We've taken almost everything they had, but we didn't get everything. And what little is left is going to rekindle, and that little kindling is going to start a fire. That fire is going to come back and save white man. It's going to save the world and save people, because we've lost touch with everything. And that's my message. I've been writing even recently. We had a song back in those days I wrote called The Children. I just shared that on Facebook. And that was Mother the Earth is crying. I mean, the white man gets in, and just like he did with the natives, we need your land, screw you, take care of it, get out of here, we're out of here. And then we'll dig, we'll go for gold, whatever we have to do, cut down all the trees, do everything we have to do. Well, you can only do so much to our earth, to our Mother the Earth. I believe in all my heart and soul that she's crying right now. And I believe that you just have to get up every day and read about the latest earthquake, the latest tsunami, the latest tornado, the latest flood. Every year they're getting more and more and more and more devastating. I'm sitting in Florida talking with you, and we've had feels like temperatures of 110, 115 daily for 2 weeks. We we've lived here almost 20 years and we've never had anything over 94 or 95. So something's going on. And whatever it is, I don't know. But you go back to your original question, honey, and none of this is scripted. We should tell people that this is not scripted. This is
Mhm.
all just kind of like shooting off the hip.
Mhm.
Um, do we believe in that kind of stuff? And this is the kind of stuff where I sit back and say, well, hey, you know what? This can't just be. I mean, we're our own victims. And I think that we need to go back once you understand how the majority of these people lived. I'm not saying that they all lived this way. There were bad people and good people always. But these people respected and revered their elders. These people respected and revered the mother, the earth. These people shared whatever they had so that everybody ate. And I mean, it's just such simplicity. I talked with a native at one time out west. I was sitting down with them talking. We're talking about religion. And we were talking about, I said, well, I've got to go to church. It's Sunday. He said, you're in church. I said, what do you mean I'm in church? And he said, this earth, this nature, that what our mothers presented to us, that's our church.
Mhm.
Why do you have to go in a building closed and pray? You sit right out here and pray. You know, I mean, they believe in a creator, but you see, if you want to talk with God, creator, whatever, talk with him. This is his house. It's not that little house in the street that has a whole bunch of people coming in. And, you know, you go back and the books, I know you know, but in my library here at the house, I have 100, 200 books on Native Americans and Native American medicine, Native American philosophies.
Mhm.
Grandfather speaks, just such common sense, simple stuff. So my message is, I believe we're going to return to that. I believe that their philosophies and their prophecies are accurate, and I believe we have to get there sooner than later. I am deeply disturbed that somebody my age, which would be revered in Native American, and this isn't about me personally, but it would be in the teepee and all the little kids would be around them and they'd be telling their stories about the history. Nowadays, our kids are on computers and AI is teaching them everything. You know, once you're older than 50 now, you're not even, I don't even know why you need to be around because the computer will tell the kids whatever they want to hear.
Mhm.
I mean, and I have a real problem with that because that's humanity and that's losing touch with each other. Chief Seattle, the circle of life, tree of life, things that the natives talk about, where everything is connected, it is. And AI is not connecting anything anymore. It's connecting us to the computer. And eventually the computer's going to say, jump 2 feet, and you're going to jump 2 feet. I'm nervous about that.
Yeah,
So,
I can
anyway,
imagine.
that's me.
That's okay. No, I can imagine you are. So everybody knows that I love ChatGPT. However, I do believe that there is a limit. And in my healing circles, I recently heard a story about how people are going and using ChatGPT to see if they can contact their dead loved ones. A sort of kind of electronic Ouija board, which we all know that is really bad to begin with. You do not want to open yourself up to stuff in the universe that is not positive. I'm a firm believer that the Ouija board does that. However, people are still desperate. They're desperate to understand life beyond the veil. And the Native Americans lived in both worlds. So their spirituality was a combination of living here on earth, but also understanding what the creator was saying, what God was saying, whatever we want to call it. Personally, I call it God now, just based on my own trajectory in life, but it's all there. And without that connection, I think people are lost and they're searching. And when you start to ask ChatGPT, can you connect to my dead son or my dead wife? I mean, we need some help. And
Yeah.
I think I'm going to get some pushback on that one, but whatever, that's fine.
Well,
But
I
I'm
agree
hearing
with you.
you.
Yeah.
And I just want to say one last thing too. So, doing this work with you, when I set out to help you get your songs out there, I really thought it was just going to be this project that you and I were going to work on, and it was just going to be how cool my dad's able to put music to his words and get his songs out there. And it's taken on a whole different life because of what's been happening. Because of the fact that through your music, we have had spiritual interaction with people who have crossed over and who have wanted to use your music specifically to access their loved ones that are still here and the journeys that those songs have taken us both on because they've affected both of us. And that will all come out at some point on this podcast. But then now in the Native American stuff, it's opened up my healing self. I spent years working on energy healing and doing all of that, and I kind of put that down a couple of years ago because I needed to focus on other things in my life. And this process has cracked that wide open. And I wasn't expecting it. I don't know what necessarily to do with it. I'm working with a teacher of mine now, process a lot of that, which is good. And I don't even know what I'm talking about because I don't have a point to what I'm saying. But all I know is there's something's at work and something needs to be done and something needs to be said. And I feel like us sensitives are getting the message. And for me, it's working with you, and same with you. You're a sensitive person, and this is happening to you, and makes me want to show up every single week and find out what's going to happen next. But sorry about that. I went off on a little bit of a tangent there.
It was a good one.
Yeah, but so let me ask you a couple more questions. Do you think the Native people today are spiritually resilient? Do you think their medicine is still alive?
I think that for the most part, the traditional Native person, again, there are good people and bad people in every culture, in every race, and certainly are in the Native race. So you just have to go out to Pine Ridge, or you have to go out to see the lifestyle inflicted on these people, and how some people reflect to it, how some people adjust to it, how some people live through it, leave it, and become successful. And then how some people just get drawn into the alcohol and everything else. I mean, we're going to do when we're both ready for it. It's something that has affected us deeply, each of us. An episode on a Native gal that you knew as a very close friend.
My best friend.
And I met for only a day, but I felt I knew her for a lifetime, and got her involved with Johnny Leverett to help her out. Her soul at this stage of the game is around us. We know that. A song about her that I wrote at the time, and in trying to get that ready for a broadcast here, she actually, and I've never had that happen, she actually played with the recordings. And it was not just something that happened because of an electrical blurb or something. Every time I tried to record the song, this couple of verses would not connect. And I'm saying to myself, what the hell's going on? And I didn't realize it until I told you, I don't know what we're going to do with this song. It won't let me finish it. And you said she's messing with you. And I said, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. I took those verses out, the song went out beautiful, and we have it ready. But it's such a deep lesson and a deep session. But that's going to be our example of what can happen today and what has happened in the late 1900s and 2000s with Native Americans on the downside, what they face. So we're going to say everything. We're going to show up and down, but everything we're going to do is based on fact and based on true history. Another song that I have that we definitely will play here in one of our series coming up. It'll be towards the end, but it will be "The Soul Cannot See Color and the Soul Cannot Own Land." And that's reflective of the Battle of Little Bighorn, when a red man and a white man are in arm-to-arm combat, and they both are killed, and their souls rise together, and what they experience going up. It's deep, but it's part of the message that we're talking about. The message is what Frank said. It's no longer color. It's not black, red, yellow, white, green, blue, whatever. We need to come back together as human beings, two-legged human beings, and take care of the earth and understand the need for us to work together in good ways, not in the ways that where everything today is bitter and it's tragic. You don't even want to watch news today, and it's sad.
So also as part of this process, I have been curiously looking to see if there are any Indian tribes around us in New England, where I am currently residing and I have grown up. And did you know that the Algonquin tribe has reservation land down on Great Herring Pond in Cedarville, and they're thriving? And they have medicine man, they have a whole council of elders, and I have been thinking about reaching out to them, but I almost fell off my chair when I saw Cedarville, that whole area, and the Great Herring Pond, because that's where Nana Bagden lived, and that's where we used to swim as children, and that's where we grow up. We grew up.
That's where I grew up.
So I
And
keep
you
seeing
might
these
not
I
know
keep
this.
seeing these little things getting weaved together, which is starting to make some sense to me, although I don't know where it's going yet.
You might not know this, but there have been native artifacts dug up right on the old Cedarville property
Hmm.
that are in museums in Plymouth right now. That has never escaped me, that land, that little piece of land in Cedarville, that house was built in the 1700s, and it was a direct line from the Pilgrims we related to earlier.
Yeah.
13 miles south of Plymouth was Algonquin land. That whole path down there at that time was Native American.
Hmm.
9 generations of your family are in one cemetery in
Yeah,
Cedarville. I don't know whether you knew that,
I did.
but so I don't know. There's got to be intermingling back and forth there too.
Well, and I don't know if I already said it, but I went to their website and I can contact them. And I've been thinking about reaching out to them about what we're doing here and particularly why I'm experiencing the things that I'm experiencing, why the healing is coming up for me, not only for myself for some strange reason, which I can't make the connection to, but also opening myself up to help others in some way, even if it's just doing this podcast. So, I'm on my own little journey you've put me on here, Dad. Thanks. Like I need one more thing to do, but it's fascinating and I love it and it feels good and I'm curious.
We're on this path, and I've thought of that a lot. Why are we even on this path right now? And when you think about why we're on it, there are a number of reasons. And one of them is a call that I got from Bob Leverett after 20 years, one of the top naturalists of virgin forests in the country, and somebody who was married to Johnny Leverett, the native medicine lady that I keep talking about. We're going to have Bob on one of these podcasts. I just finished a song yesterday. I have a tree named for me on the Mohawk Trail
Mm-hmm.
out in western Massachusetts. Now, that tree is a tall pine. It's in an area where there have been a number of trees dedicated to individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Swamp, lots of names that have been instrumental with either Native American effort in Northeast or people that have supported it, people like myself. It's one of the proudest things that I've ever had is just I have, I don't know whether you can see this on there, but
Mm-hmm.
that's me standing with my tree the week that it was named for me in the Mohawk Trail State Park out there. I had this out. I've been looking at this and I've been writing this song about, and it relates to exactly what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Where we've been in our lives, where we are now, because we've lost the teachings of Indigenous man, and we need to have more knowledge and his help in bringing us back. The words are very poignant, and it's all about the forest, the trees, and what they've experienced, because many of these trees have seen it all. They've seen the Indian wars back, King Philip,
Mm-hmm.
back right through Marlborough. You need to understand what has happened with Native Americans in Marlborough and Framingham, sweetheart.
I know but that's a whole other episode. Anyway, I think we started to open up a lot of interesting dialogue on this podcast, Dad, and I don't think you can put it all in one episode. And I think we can go in so many different directions. But let's stop here for today.
We don't want to bore people.
I think it's a great place to stop. I'll put the song Vision on at the end of this. Yeah, let's just keep sitting on what we're being shown and what we're being asked to do. And we'll come back next week and we'll explore some more. All right. Love you,
We'll say
Papa.
goodbye. Bye-bye, honey.
Young man on the mountain, a personal test. Young man on a mountain for his vision quest. A red sky each morning, signaling change. A red sky a warning before the ill winds came. In the clouds was an image of bullets and steel. White men on horses with big guns on wheels. His people were running in fear through the dawn. And when the sun broke, his people were gone. A red sky each morning, signaling change. A red sky a warning before the ill winds came. A young man on a mountain with tears in his eyes, for he now knew that his people would die. The image was fading away on a breeze, and with it the buffalo water and trees. The ways of his people, a culture, a race. The only thing left was a white man's face. Old man on a mountain, arms out to the sky. Old man on a mountain, ready to die. A red sky each morning, signaling change. A red sky a warning before the ill winds came. Cheyenne and Arapaho at Sandy Creek, the graves of the soul at Wounded Knee. The deadly walk of the Cherokee burned in the old man's soul. He'd lived to see the white man's world. He'd seen his vision unfold. He lived through the burning, his heart and soul. Time to return to his people. Time for him to go.